That was backwards.
No, I counted forwards.
Yeah, which is backwards.
Why is that backwards?
A countdown is a backwards counting. When you count forwards on a countdown, it's backwards.
Well, why didn't you ask me to count down? You asked me to count.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Double Cup of Joe show. I'm your host, Joe.
And I'm your other guy.
And
And I'm
today.
Joe, too.
oh, the other guy, Joe.
The other guy, Joe A.
I am Joe B. Welcome to the final live stream that is the actual episode.
In the morning.
Yep, in the morning. We will still be doing live streams, but they will not be right now, and they will not be the episode themselves. They'll be us recording the episode. So,
well, it will be an episode. There'll be 5 of them.
That is true. That's the last
5 of them at once.
So, you can definitely be a part of that as we get to doing that. We're not doing it right now, obviously, because we're recording the show. But in the future, we will have we record a full week's worth of episodes at the same time. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're really excited about the opportunity to be able to do that and get a full night's sleep. Joe here is about to get a full night's sleep for the first time in years, so I have determined that he will probably gain superpowers. There's like a 50-50 shot. Either he will or he will not gain superpowers. So that's not bad.
I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to just let myself sleep on Monday and not set an alarm and see how late I actually sleep.
Joe gets up at like 5 at night. His body has been like waiting that long for rest.
Yes, we'll see. Like I imagine probably what'll happen though is I'll probably end up getting up at 4:30 or 5. Like I'll just automatically wake up,
Yep. I feel that. Sleep again is for nerds.
I'm gonna become a nerd on Monday.
Oh yeah, Monday Nerd Day.
Monday Nerd Day.
Well, anyway, today is our last Free for All Friday of the live events, so we're super excited. We have Lilia's topic, who apparently is also Clara, so she is in the chat. So you are here. It is a great day to be doing this. But before we get into your topic, we have to start. We have to get in the right mind frame set thing.
Yes.
And that comes with the 3-step process.
3.
Like the video. Subscribe. Ring the bell. No, wait. Sorry, that's the other one. I got them out of order. That's the one we say at the end of the video. This is the one we say right now, which is, what are you thankful for? What are you looking forward to? And what are you going to do today to move your life forward? Those are 3 questions you can ask yourself in the morning or at night or really any time of day to get your mind focused on where you want to actually go. So I'm going to start by asking Joe here all of these questions, starting with step number 1. What are you thankful for? Joe?
I'm thankful for the fact that we've gotten to do this show live in the morning for this long. It's been quite a ride. Like I'll never forget when I texted you when we were talking about starting this show. I was like, "Hey, we were talking about, well, we'll just do it live. That'll be less work. On the back end, we'll just show up and we'll do it live." and then we're like, "Well, when are we gonna do it? I don't know." And then so I texted you. I was like, "Well, what if we do Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. or whatever?" And I waited for your response, and it took you like a day to respond. And then you're like, "Yep, let's do it." And I'm like, "Okay." Because I was already a morning person by then, so I was like, "Okay, it's no big deal for me." But I was like, I knew that you weren't like quite a morning person, so I was like, it's quite a commitment,
God,
I'm
I'm
sitting there
still
like,
not a morning person.
are you aware of what you're committing to here? Like,
I was not. It truly was not.
It was great in theory, but what you're gonna find is very interesting. As I was producing a lot of our shows from before, that we're gonna getting ready to roll out. Starting on Monday, you're gonna see actually the first ever recording we ever did together. Ever. Like, and this, like, the first week, it's gonna be the first week of recordings that we did together ever, and this was back in 2018. So we would
It was a ways back.
yeah, we went back and we found those and we're like, "Yep, we'll just start with those because they were great beginnings anyway. We talked about dreams, we talked about imagination, how important that is, and so we decided we dig those out, and what you're gonna find is that Joe is, like, super vibrant. On day 1, 3, 4, and 5. Day 2, Tuesday, we did get up and do one, like, at 5:30 in the morning, we got together or something like that, and so that day we were kinda just be like, I wasn't quite a morning person yet either, so both of us are kinda like, but, yeah,
Yep.
it's gonna be fun to watch. So, anyway, that starts on Monday, and also it'll be available on podcast too, starting on Monday as well. So we'll have
Ooh.
all that stuff. Yeah, I'm thankful for this show and all that we've gotten to do, and I'm thankful that this has been a great proving ground for us for the last 3 months of actually doing this live. It's been a really cool, training ground, I think.
Yeah, it's really weird that live streams end up working that way. That like those are the testing. Like let's let people see us test everything instead of
Right.
maybe we did this backwards, but hopefully you guys got a little bit of enjoyment out of it. So that's great. That's what you're thankful for. We recommend that you guys do that too. Step number
Mhm.
2. What are you looking forward to? So Joe, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to what we were talking about earlier. I'm looking forward to this whole attempting to sleep more. Um, we're gonna see. It's weird. I've kind of trained myself to get by on very little sleep. I don't necessarily recommend that. Um, but I remember I met a guy years ago who he had trained himself for years to sleep 3 hours a night. And then, interestingly enough, somehow he was developing some health problems. I don't know how.
Hmm.
And they found the culprit was that he wasn't sleeping enough. So he had been doing this for years, sleeping just 3 hours a night. And he had to go to sleep therapy because he couldn't sleep more than 3 hours a night. Like, he would just wake up. He had trained his body for so long that he would just wake up. So, I'm starting to get into that realm too. I tried 3 hours a night for a while. After about 2 weeks, I started, like, sleepwalking and waking up in weird places and weird predicaments and all kinds of stuff, like, it was messed up. So I'm like, "Okay, 3 hours isn't enough." So then I went into 4.5 was kinda my magic number, of sleep time. So for the longest time, it's been 4.5 hours of sleep a night, and on Monday, I'm gonna try 7.5, see if I actually can do it. I'm gonna see.
Excited. I'm excited for you. This could
So
be. We could see a new Joe on the other side of this, guys.
that'd be weird.
He might literally have the ability to like. We're gonna come back, and he's gonna have. So I don't know. You guys probably don't know this, but we actually ended up recording like 6 months worth of podcasts back in 2018, early 2019.
Hmm.
We're gonna come back, and Joe's just gonna be like, "Yeah, I finished them all. It was crazy. I had so much energy. I just went done." We'll see, but yeah, that's definitely something to look forward to. So thanks, Joe.
Mhm.
That brings us to final step, the final episode of the final. No, so step number 3 is what are you gonna do today to move your life forward? So I'm gonna kick it back to Joe. and he's going to let us know what he's going to do today.
Today I'm just finishing up getting the first week of this show ready for next week for you guys. I've got half of it done and ready to go. But there's the other half of the week, and then also got to get all the podcast account set up and get all that configured and stuff. So that's on my list for today. What I'm gonna do because I'm just excited to actually have this show be a regularly produced show that you can watch. It'll be available for when you wake up in the morning. Although unless you live like in Germany or something, maybe not. Um, it might not be available quite when you maybe I'll have to do that. We'll have to release it like at midnight or something. Just to make
Old.
it available for people.
Need work.
Yeah.
We'll mess around with it. We're not. I was gonna say crazy, but I realized that that was probably an inaccurate statement, so I didn't want to say
We
it.
are crazy.
Exactly. And we're also weird. So, if you didn't know that by now, you this is your first show. So, welcome. um, so that's the three-step routine. What are you thankful for? What are you looking forward to? And what are you going to do today to move your life forward? We highly encourage you to take that little routine with you as you go. Ask yourself those questions and kind of get your mind framed in the right direction of where you want it to go. And that's really going to be a huge game changer for most days that you have. Do the life forward one.
Hmm?
Yeah, it's what are you going to do today to move your life forward, Egg?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just did it.
Yeah. I'm gonna finish up next week's shows.
Yep, he's going to do that today. Which
That's what I'm gonna do.
yes, that's yeah, it's a futury thing that starts with today. So, boom, mind
Bang.
blown. Did Mr. Bohan do it? Well, I asked the question.
That's okay.
What? What? What'd you say? What? Sorry. Um. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on to our topic. Today is Free for All Friday. It's our day where we do topics submitted by you, the audience, or maybe one of us if we're crazy enough to do it. Where we get to talk about different ideas and just kind of have a lot of fun. Hopefully, discussing things. Uh, we're talking about depression today, so I think it's very important that we state very clearly we're not professionals. We
Right.
are very much not brilliant on the topics that we've discussed. In case you guys didn't figure that out last time, um, we're not scientists. Light was a struggle for us. The science of light was a struggle for us.
Yes, it was.
So we can only tell you as much as we know. And I think that's really the fun of this is that we don't come at it from a perspective of like we are the most wise people on this topic that ever lived and walked the earth. Um, nope, just a couple of average Joes. Just kidding. Yes, perfect. Um, just discussing this topic. So, uh, Lilia, we appreciate you dropping this in here for us.
Hmm.
Without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Joe, who's going to discuss for us today depression.
Ah, yes. Well, thank you. And I see in the chat you guys think I'm handsome. Ah, you guys are so nice. Um, I work really hard in the morning to make myself all pretty.
Beautiful.
But anyway, so depression is one of those things. I have definitely struggled with it. And that's where my knowledge of it comes from. I don't like Joe said, I'm not a therapist. I've had the experience of attending therapy, uh, but I am not a professional therapist, so I don't know all of the ins and outs of depression from a scientific standpoint. I just have the experiential knowledge. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a background, I ended up after high school, I'd always kind of struggled with self-esteem issues. And then when I went to college, I got really overwhelmed and had a nervous breakdown my first year of college and ended up struggling with depression for the next probably at least I was in a pit for at least 6 months, probably close to a year. Um, and even then, it took a long time to fully get out of that. It really was a struggle for years of kind of back and forth, but I was completely incapacitated, seemed like, for at least 6 months, where I couldn't really do anything. I just lay on the couch and, I didn't really do much of anything. So, in and out of the hospital with panic attacks and stuff, like, my poor parents, they didn't know what the heck to do with me. Um, so I'm so thankful for them and their patience, through that time period and everything, but it's really I look back on that time and it was really kind of a defining time, to actually go through that challenge and to conquer it. Um, so I guess what it feels like, I remember what it felt like. It felt helpless, felt, um, overwhelmed. Basically just overwhelmed and helpless, and I didn't wanna do anything. I couldn't get myself to move. I couldn't get myself to get out of bed sometimes. I couldn't get myself to do anything productive. Um, and and it was just such a hard time. But, the struggle in that pit, if you have dealt with that, you know what it's like. If you've, um, if you've been there, I'm sorry, because I know how hard it is. So, as far as getting out, I ended up going to a therapist, and one of the things that helped me so much was just understanding that it wasn't the end of the world. Because I found out the reason that I had gotten depressed was because I was trying to live up to other people's expectations of me, and I wasn't, and I was kind of naturally rejecting some of those expectations. But I felt like if I didn't honor those, then it was going to be a problem. And so then I was starting to get stressed out and everything, and that's what kind of led to the nervous breakdown, because I was beating myself up for not performing well in that environment, and then but I was naturally I didn't wanna do that, and so it was crazy, but then finally it got to the point where I just I couldn't do anything else. And then when I finally went to therapy and this therapist was brilliant. All he would do, he would just listen to me and not judge me. And that was so important. To have somebody to listen to you and not judge you is huge for someone who's depressed. Because then you start to feel like, okay, this isn't the end of the world. It can turn out okay. And from there, that was kinda like the first step. From there, it was like gradual increases of kinda re-entering society. Knowing what I know now, if I would have been able to just discipline myself to start moving my body, that would have made a huge difference. It is the weirdest thing, and it's the last thing someone wants to do when they're depressed, at least for me. I know for sure because all I wanted to do is lay there. But if you can get yourself to get up and just stretch, just do some stretching, and then maybe just a couple jumping jacks or run in place a little bit. That first little step gets your blood moving, it clears your brain. I mean, there's all kinds of benefits to that. And we think we have to get ourselves motivated in order to do something. And that's backwards. We start doing something and then the motivation comes. They go hand in hand. And so we kind of think that, we need to have the motivation and then we can do something. But really the key is if you want to experience the motivation, if you want to experience the lifting of your, your mentality, like the best thing you can do is to start moving. Just force yourself to start, and you can make it as tiny of a hurdle as possible, which is why I always say just stretching. Just I sit in my bed, my exercise regimen first thing in the morning is just I sit in my bed and I stretch. I sit there. I'm in a seated position and I'm just like back and forth. Mm, and that does enough to get my mind it clears my mind up so I can start thinking, and it's amazing. So, that's a little long-winded, so I'm gonna turn it over to Joe and let him talk. So,
Thanks, Joe.
have at it.
Yeah, it's this is a obviously a difficult thing to deal with. Joe's kind of got some experience. I think over the last few months, a lot of us have been experiencing some form of this or another. Um, for me, this last 4 or 5 months has been really tough. Um, I go through probably the hardest time of work. Obviously, there's a pandemic. I have friends who are police officers. I have. It can be really difficult to look out at the world and go, this is exciting. And so depression kind of rears its face in many different ways.
Mhm,
Um, for Joe, it sounds like it was very much a I'm not doing like I don't want to physically move. Like he's talking about a lot of the very physical, debilitating aspects of depression. So I'll try to talk some on the mental aspects of depression because it does do both. Um,
mhm,
I talked with my wife, who's a pharmacist, and she one of the things she talks about is it's really dangerous when you first start some people on antidepressants because when most people, if they're suicidal, most people who are depressed have kind of that similar situation to Joe, where they're like super down and they have no energy. Also, the mentality is very negative, very much like a hopeless mentality.
mhm,
The problem with antidepressants is people end up getting their energy first before they get their mind right.
mm,
Before the drugs start to affect your mental capacity, they affect your energy levels, and it gets super dangerous because people like now have the energy to commit acts they probably shouldn't or otherwise wouldn't. Um, and it gets kind of back at that core of like getting up and moving is part of the reason that your mind comes back to normal. That your mind kind of balances back out is you're actively doing things. For me during this time, it's been a really struggle to just like get together with people. Um, but I forced myself to do it anyway. If any of you can have that idea of depression, it it can usually run into the realm of despair, of loneliness. Like nothing's gonna work out. I'm all by myself. I have to face this all on my own. And most of that is self-inflicted. What I've found. Most of that isn't on the hey people are just shutting you out and like keeping you from being able to do what you want. I believe from what I've seen, most of it is self-inflicted. And so, like Joe talks about, where he had to force himself to start doing like those one little acts of like movement, those one little acts of just getting together with other people who love you is just as important. So, I want to encourage you when it doesn't feel like you can do it, when it doesn't feel great, um, to get together for with whoever loves you, whoever's going to encourage you. Not that you even have to discuss this, but to just be able to say like, hey, there's another person here who is dealing with either maybe something similar or maybe not the same things at all. That can give you kind of this hope that doesn't come when you're just stuck with your own self. I think Magician posted it here earlier in the chat. He said for him, he created a different persona of himself to talk to. Like, I I don't recommend that way. I recommend having other people too. But I mean, it's kind of that same idea of you need somebody with hope that can kind of encourage you and and um, and get you going in the right direction. Um, and you know, as Egg is saying, for most people, it comes on as sadness. But I think, truly speaking, sadness and depression will end up with the same effects unchecked if you let one go. They're probably varying levels of the same thing. Scientifically speaking, that doesn't necessarily mean that like it feels the same. Everybody's going to be a little bit different in how they perceive these individual aspects, but from a scientific level, they're pretty similar with the chemicals up here, from what I understand. Again, we're not professionals. If you have an issue, please to talk to somebody professional, somebody who loves you, hopefully somebody who's both. Um, so that can really, really turn things around for you. And so we really want to encourage you, um, and just kind of be there as a hopeful voice, that you're going to get through this. That it doesn't last forever. Um, which, man, when you're in the middle of it, it definitely doesn't feel that way. But
Right.
I think Joe and Ryan say it a lot, but this too shall pass. So I'm gonna kick it back to Joe, because he has an encouraging word as well. So
I do.
boom.
Yes. We are a very complex being, you know, mind and body and spirit, and we have chemicals that affect everything, you know? I mean, they talk about just at a basic chemical level, serotonin is the chemical in our brain that causes us to feel well-being. And so sometimes, you know, here's a thought as well, something you might try. If you're experiencing depression and you want to alleviate that a little bit, try eating a bunch of turkey because turkey has tryptophan, which tryptophan induces the production of serotonin, which then, you know, more serotonin. And now sometimes your serotonin receptors are burned out. There's possibilities of that, you know, depending on there's all kinds of factors that might play into this, you know. If you have been recreationally using certain drugs, sometimes it fries parts of your receptors in your brain, and so like then at that point you gotta it takes some time to build those back. Um, so, but it's definitely interesting. I'm not going to talk about drug induced depression, but that's definitely a thing. However, um, just regular depression in general. One of the things that helps me, especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed, because I still get that way. And I remember when I was depressed, a lot of that was just this feeling of overwhelm. And, you know, that just led to me just basically mentally throwing my hands up in the air. And I'm like, okay, I can't even try because I'm overwhelmed. There's no way I'm ever going to get this. There's no way I'm ever going to live the way that I'm expected to. There's no way it's ever going to happen. And so I better I just give up, give up. And then that was my state of mind. It was just like, nope, I quit. I give up. And I couldn't get myself to start again. So one of the ways to get past that is take it make it such a small step. Like if okay, if I'm overwhelmed about producing the Double Cup of Joe show, right? Because there's a mountain of editing to do and a mountain of all kinds of other tasks to do, right? My remedy for that is okay, I'm not going to think about all the things I need to do. I'm just going to open up the software, the video editing software. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to look at it. And that's the only commitment I'm going to make right now. When it comes to exercise, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to commit to a warm up, which is just some stretching, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to give myself the option of stopping at that point, and I'm going to be okay with that. So I try and set the bar so low that I can jump over it. And most of the time, once I get in that phase, it's much easier to be like, "Oh, well, that wasn't so bad. I can take the next one. I can take the next step." And then when I'm focusing only on the next step, it's so much easier, and then before I know it, I'm down the road and I'm taking a bunch of steps, and it's like, "Okay, now I've got momentum and I'm moving forward, and I'm moving forward." So, I'm and this is just from my experience with depression. For me, doing things is what got me out. Being active is what got me out of depression. Being and not necessarily just physically active, not working out necessarily, but that's part of it. You can be physically active, but also being productive in other realms. Like those types of things, it got my mind off of me sitting just there alone. It got my mind onto something else. And I was being productive and actually creating something of value. And once I started to move down that road, then the depression starts to slowly lift because you're like, first of all, you're focused on something other than your depression. That's one of the most dangerous things. It causes the spiral downward where it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm depressed. Then, oh, how am I ever going to get out of this? I can't get out of this. And then, oh man, I'm depressed. And then you start beating yourself up for not doing stuff. And then you're not doing stuff as a result. So if you can break the cycle and just start with something super duper small, be amazed how once you crack that door open, it gets so much easier to push it a little bit more open, a little bit more open, a little bit more open. And then finally, you can free yourself. I don't know if it ever necessarily goes away completely. We always struggle with disappointments. We always struggle with discouragements for sure. But maybe we can avoid the deep downward spiral of the depression. And for me, remaining productive in that realm has been a great way to combat that. So that's it. Joe, what do you got?
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I think whatever it is, whether it's exercise, whether actively doing things, whatever it is, um, do it. I mean, the one of the things I heard from you know listening to some TED talks by psychologists is like, if it doesn't make any sense, but it works for you, then it works. Like it's the weirdest thing of like, because of the way that each of our minds is built differently. If it's just like I go do a handstand for 30 minutes a day and that's what works, do a handstand. Like, why does your
30 minutes.
I made that up. I forget what it actually was. I think it was like I do a handstand for 30 seconds or something, and then I feel better. Like, who cares what everyone else says their treatment option is? Like, if
Yeah.
a 30-second handstand accomplishes the same thing for you, what do you care?
Hmm.
Um, so, one of the things we really want you to take away from this is whatever you're dealing with, um, that there's a way out. That there's there is hope, and I think hope is probably the biggest um, factor from what depression has to say. Um, like Joe said, if you kind of get into that self thinking about like the worst, I don't get out and do the same things I used to do. I don't whatever it was, whatever's kind of getting you into a downward rolling mindset. The key is to focus on things of hope, not on the things that caused your depression. I've noticed it even now. Um, for me, especially, don't watch the news. No, number one thing I can recommend to you: don't watch the news. That'll
Yep.
cure your depression in a heartbeat. Um,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
um, drop off social media and connect with some friends. Like these things where somebody can speak hope to you. Like find somebody to speak hope to you. Maybe you're not religious. Most churches you can walk right in, and your priest or your minister is going to have something encouraging to say to you. Um, you know, there aren't, as often as we see people who are out there trying to cause something bad to happen, there are as many or more people who want to see the best for you and don't even know you. And recognizing that and getting to see that is one of the most encouraging things on the face of the planet. And so we want to encourage you today, as living people who are breathing, who don't really know any of you beyond your conversations with us here in the chat or possibly on Discord as well, that we do care. Like, there is hope for whatever you're facing. Um, it doesn't matter if it's different than what other people have seen before. It doesn't matter how unique it is. There is hope on the other end. There will always be hope. I think it's one of the many great reasons. I think Joe and I are religious. I don't know if that's not why we're religious necessarily, but one of the things that comes from that is the idea of hope. That we have a hope, and for us it's Jesus, because it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter what led to your depression. It doesn't matter how you got there. It doesn't matter if it's any number of other mental disorders that Jeff's discussing. Like, there's hope. That anything you did because of what happened when you were depressed is forgiven. And now there's a time to move forward and find joy. And so we want to encourage you. Like, whatever you're facing, if maybe you're not facing anything right now, we're just having this topic discussion. Like, that's great too. That would be the ideal, is that we're just talking to nobody. But if you are, feel free to reach out to us. We're on Discord. We're on bss.studio. We'd love to connect. Just as much as it seems like with podcasts, we're just gonna take this discussion and talk about it. We do want to talk to you as well as at you. We like to do both. We like to talk a lot. If you haven't watched this show before, so
Yeah,
um,
it's pretty amazing. One thing I wanted to say before we wrap it up is one hope you can gain from depression is look at how powerful your mind is. When you're experiencing that brain power is being used against you. Imagine if you could flip that. If you can take a step outside yourself and understand, look, depression, look at how powerful our minds are. Like, they can totally debilitate us, our own minds. You take that same power and turn it toward positive. Oh, it's astounding what can be done. So you have an exceptionally powerful mind, every single one of you. And it can be used to be good in the world, or it can be used to be bad in the world. You have the option. You have the choice of how to use it. But it is the most powerful computer known to man. Your mind. So I just wanted to say that.
yeah, good stuff. You guys are incredibly powerful, and I think that's a great place to end it. Of you have an amazing brain computer thing in your head case, and it's
In your
awesome.
head case. Did you call me a
I
head
called
case?
everyone a head case on live stream after we just talked about depression. Yep. Oh boy. So, um, spring into a musical number.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime girl.
I don't know the rest of the words.
Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire. Ah!
Oh no! Yeah, watch out for those heart fires. You'll know that Joe did most of the singing. There's a reason for that. He actually sings. So that was our musical number for the end of our live streams. It has been a pleasure to have you. We hope that you can get a good laugh out of us or what you're feeling guy going on. We will be here. We will be here for as long as God wills us to be here. And when He doesn't, then we'll be gone. So we take it as it is.
Yes.
So we really appreciate all of you being here, all of you being a part of this. It has been wonderful. It has been really fun, and it will continue to be really fun. We actively encourage you to subscribe, hit the bell so that you know when we go live for the recordings of these. It'll be exactly the same, except we'll do 5 different topics, and um, we'll probably have a mix of errors as we attempt to change between. Well, I guess it's Thursday now. We'll have
That's
to remember that.
right.
So
Yep.
you can get a good laugh out of us. If I remember anything from when we were recording these for podcasts, we had a ton of bloopers, and we don't plan on doing any blooper reels anytime soon. If you want to enjoy those, you gotta be there.
Hmm.
So,
Yep. It's super fun. Just to give you a little hint, like when we were starting this, it's hilarious. We had I think day two, we did all like we were trying to figure this out. And we were like, okay, how do we get this down to a certain amount of time? And it was like that session was like 45 minutes to an hour long. And I took that session and got it down to about 9 minutes of showtime. Cutting out all the bloopers and all the stuff and yeah, it was amazing. But it's fun. So like if you guys that's the stuff that's not gonna make it to the show. You're gonna see all the bloopers and all the fun. So we invite you, come and hang out with us. It's gonna be a good time. Um,
and then rewatch them as an edited version so that you can see what's changed. I think that would be interesting. I mean, I can't wait to see how much has changed. I can't believe you were able to subtract 30 some minutes of oh my goodness. It'll be really exciting. And so we're really excited for this. You will be able, even if you can't make the live streams, if you comment, we'll probably try and make a way that we involve you guys in the comment section, because we still read those. We still are on the lookout for all your topics, all of whatever you want to tell us. It is it is a lot of fun to discuss the topics you guys bring up. They're great. They're really fun. Free for all Friday, even when we talk about depression, is really fun, really uplifting. And so, um, even as we, like we said when we talk about it on the show, we don't talk about things necessarily just because. Even though you guys came up with them, it's there for a reason. There's a reason we discussed this today.
yep.
There's a reason that this all happened. So, um, we just want to say thank you, and we will see you very very soon.
Yes. Come on back now.
um, do we have to inform them of the changes to? I think Don't Worry Wednesday is still going to be live on Wednesdays.
Yes. Don't worry, Wednesday is still gonna stream live on Wednesdays, but only Wednesdays. So we made that announcement this past Wednesday. So we won't be on tonight or Monday, but we will be back for Don't Worry Wednesday on Wednesday.
Oh.
And yes, we might end up starting a little bit later. That's a possibility. So I'm not sure. So the best thing you can do is just hit the bell, hit the notification bell. That way you'll know when it happens. So my recommendation.
Perfect. And then,
Thanks,
oh,
Egg.
yeah, we really appreciate it. I'm just a regular accounting person, probably not an accounting god. I have so much to learn. It's ridiculous. Um,
Yes.
so we've got we've got that, and then this weekend we should have live streams over at the twitch.tv/BSS_streaming. Um, that is Jesse and Ryan, the Static P,
Mm.
are here for fun, Dungeons and Dragons times, or possibly games, depending on what they select. It is a holiday weekend, so I don't know, that might affect the stream schedule, but do
Oh.
enjoy. If you are from the if you are from the United States, where we're from, uh, on the 4th, which is Saturday, we celebrate Independence Day, which is the founding of our country, which is a fantastic. We are glad to be where we are. We hope that you're glad to be where you are, wherever that might be. So um, we are going to take a holiday weekend. We're going to take this weekend off, which
It's gonna be fun.
we kind of done anyway. But we're going to
Yeah.
say it's because of the holiday. Anyway, we love you guys. We thank you for being here. We will see you again soon. And when we get going live again, we'll let everyone know if
That's
we
right.
do it consistently. But
Well, it's gonna have to be consistently. We're gonna have to at least do one a week.
well, I meant on the same day.
Oh,
Not
oh, oh! I see. I see what
do
you
it consistent. Not we're doing it. Yeah, words are hard, guys. Maybe that'll be one of our free for all topics: is
Yeah.
word usage.
And why are we so bad at it? I don't understand.
We're gonna have somebody show up to that one and just be like, "This is what you guys do wrong all the time." Oh,
Thanks for the word of encouragement.
yep. So
Yeah.
we will
Hey.
see you guys soon. Love you
Yes.
guys.
Love you guys. See you next time.